ordinary, hardworking South Africans in various sectors, hard hit by the limitations that have set on because of the COVID-19 restrictions. Well, political economy writer and senior fellow at the African Liberty, Phumlani Majozi, joins us now. Now, Phumlani, in the absence of a COVID-19 treatment, we are still awaiting the arrival of vaccines. They're not coming in the huge numbers that are required to reach herd immunity. Is lockdown worth it?
Tabo, I lost you there.
I'm saying in the absence of a reliable treatment for COVID-19, but also in the absence of vaccines, adequate vaccines anyway, we are expecting some to arrive before the end of this month. Is a lockdown worth it?
Sure. This level where we are right now, it's been damaging, right? And it's clear that we can't keep it longer. As we showed this week, a piece I wrote that was published in two news platforms, where we wrote with Mike Schussler that, as mentioned, we have 1.4 million jobs that are at risk, right? So we're in a very tough situation, and we can't continue with the lockdown. The price is just too high. People are just struggling, as you saw in those clips. And the economy is really not going anywhere. People are not hiring businesses. So it's a tough environment. The price is too high. And if those vaccines don't come as quick as possible, I think the damage will be even more higher. Yeah. And it's very sad that we have seen a lot of mismanagement of the COVID procurement process or delays that we have seen from government. As a result, we're in a situation where we will see things, instead of coming in quite fast, rather they will be quite later compared to many other major emerging markets. So it's quite a tough one, Tabo, and the price is too high, and we can't go on this footing, even with this lockdown level 3 that we have. There has to be the reopening as soon as possible. Though, of course, it has to be with precautions. We can't just pretend as if things are normal.
You're saying the price is too high. How should we measure that price? How should we measure the impact of COVID-19? Cases, the number of those who die, or how many people are unemployed? Probably it is also an ethical question.
You see, look, for me, I think whenever I speak of a price that is too high, look, I'm looking at everything, man. I'm looking at whether it could be the issue of lives, the issue of infection. Of course, it's high, but for me, it's mainly the issue of lives. It's also, when I speak of the price, I'm also talking about the people who have stayed for a year without finding a job, right? And they are not going to find those jobs anytime soon because of the state of the economy. So I think on net balance, the total cost in the country it's at another level. And we are going to see this cost, especially in terms of, we look at the economy, people's livelihoods. They don't know when are they going to go back into the market and go back to work. And the economy, they say it could bounce back when? Sometime next year. That's what the Reserve Bank has said, sometime next year into 2023. That's where we're going to see things normalizing from an economic productivity point of view. But for me, when you look at, when I talk of the price, I'm looking at everything that, it's just the price is just too high. Yeah. And we're in a different situation.
One would ask then, have you also calculated the potential cost? If you look at where the numbers were sitting around December, January, beginning of January, we were reporting close to 4,000. In fact, we were reporting close to 400 deaths daily. And those infections were sitting at over 20,000 in some instances. Have you looked at the potential cost to life if we have not gone down to lockdown level 3?
You see, it's a difficult one, Tabo, in the sense that we need to remember that pandemics tend to behave differently around the world, right? Depending on the issue of the age. Even the World Health Organization has mentioned that age is a factor, of course, and Africa is quite a young continent compared to Western nations. Climate as well, those things, they sort of play a factor when it comes to the pandemic. So there are many factors that sort of drive the dynamic of the pandemic. So, and it's very important to remind people that when you look at the numbers in Africa, when you compare them to other regions around the world, they remain surprisingly, and even experts have been surprised that the numbers are quite low. And when I speak of the numbers, I'm talking about deaths, basically, people dying from COVID-19. Yes, it may be a shocker that we are seeing the number of people having been infected and died over the past months, but relatively to many other countries around the world, it's been quite, in fact, very, very low in Africa. So, I mean, I'm trying to say that this is a difficult situation that it's hard for me to say this is the best option. There has to be some form of balance, right? And that balance, I think, if we are going to have a situation where you shut down things like tourism totally, shut down things like travel and all these industries that have been affected, people have sort of had a huge, negative knockoff. I just think that the best would be to open, but take precautions, because I mean it's the only way I think we should go forward. Take precautions, but reopen the economy and make sure that people, they follow the precautions and social distance and all that.
Which policy might have been more effective? I understand you're saying hit a balance, right? It's probably a more of an abstract concept. If you want to be a little bit more specific, how do you hit that balance? Which policy position might have been more effective, or shall I say, what health measure could be less economically damaging, and therefore, which one should weigh more, the life or the economy?
So, you see, here's the thing. What I've always tried to avoid, Thabo, is to try and to look at things as which we should prioritize. Should we to look this thing into two separate things and say there's an economy and then there's lives. I see this thing, it should be we should approach it as one thing, right? Because whatever we do, there's a cost, right? It's not like if you take one direction, the cost would be, there will be no cost. If either direction we take, there's a cost that we will incur as a nation. So for me, not the best, but the optimal thing to do, given the situation that we face, that is very unfortunate, is to reopen the economy, but take precautions. And as government, you make sure that we enforce those precautions and try and fasten the vaccine procurement, because the fact that we have a vaccine, there has been delays in the vaccine to get into South Africa, the vaccines, that alone shows the incompetence of government, right? And that is going to damage even more people from a jobs point of view, but also even from a disease point of view as well. So it's a tough one, but I think the optimal point you could do is to try and reopen these sectors where millions of people have lost jobs, many of them, and are at risk of losing jobs, and make sure that we enforce those, the precautions, the masks, social distancing, sanitizers, and all those things, and try to work towards a situation where we are going to have the vaccines.
Phumlani Majozi, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us tonight. That political economy writer and senior fellow at African Liberty, Phumlani Majozi.